The Test by Moonlight series between the Nigerian Football Federation and out-of-contract coach Stephen Keshi have continued unabated, and we are just watching out for more intriguing episodes of that issue. Also today, the Dream Team 6, led by Coach Samson Siasia, will welcome the team from Gabon at the Abuja National Stadium. Of course, it will be the second leg of the All-Africa Games qualifiers, where the Dream Team will be taking advantage of a 4-1 away scoreline to pick a ticket to the All-Africa Games and of course subsequently pick the ticket to the Olympic Games in Rio next year. And in the next 3 days, some of the 16 teams that have made it to the knockout stage of the UEFA Champions League will know their fate. Of course, 4 out of the 8 teams will be booking their ticket to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. The only English team with a promising chance in the UEFA Champions League race this season, Chelsea, will take center stage at the Stamford Bridge against French club side PSG. Of course, Jose Mourinho's boys are still bubbling in the euphoria of the Capital One League Cup victory. It is hotsports, and it promises to be another exciting episode of the program this Saturday.
Seeking to land their 5th crown. Well, Jose Mourinho might just have pulled a rabbit out of the hat in his team selection today. And Zuma battling forward in there. Come out to John Terry. And Ivanovic tangling there with Shadley, who will be penalised.
He got the flight of the ball better than Chadley did. Correct decision.
It's Willian over it. Cahill looking to attack it from the back. Where's it going to drop? It deflects in. John Terry will take the credit. The captain comes up with the goods for Chelsea on the Wembley stage.
Well, not that there's ever a bad time to score a goal, but 2 minutes before half-time, Chelsea haven't been brilliant by any means in this half, but a set piece again. Tottenham failed to clear it away. Right place, right time, John Terry. How many times have we said that over the years? Deflection as well past Lloris. Tottenham actually flick it on. No Chelsea player there at the near post. They're all in the middle. They fall kindly to John Terry. And it's a very good finish. A little bit of luck. You need that. We all need that. And that's a mistake. That's a foul.
Half-time at Wembley. Chelsea 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Zuma rising. Fabregas. A test for Hugo Lloris. Audacious acrobatics from Cesc Fabregas.
Brilliant. Technically brilliant. He knows where he is. He knows where the goal is.
That's Fabregas. Curling it for Willian. Fabregas has got a bit of room here. And that could spell trouble. This is Diego Costa. First chance, and a deflection takes it in! Delight for Diego Costa! And it is a long, long way back for Tottenham now.
Brilliant. The way he pulled off the centre-half to open the goal up for himself. The way he took it in his stride, his first touch. Yes, he gets a little bit of luck with a deflection. Watch his run. He goes in there to create the space for himself. And he's left one-on-one. Little deflection. He'll try and claim that, and rightly so as a centre-forward. I would.
Might have a hard job though. Kyle Walker getting the telling touch.
The reluctance to put it in the box on that occasion.
Well, Rose driving forward with determination. One Harry Kane is in! Well, vital challenge by John Terry. At some expense to himself.
That's why you've got to get the ball into the box, because things like that can happen. What a brilliant tackle again. We saw Terry with a header before, this time a challenge.
Jose Mourinho's love affair with this competition continues. It is yet another trophy heading to the Stamford Bridge cabinet. But there is no doubt Chelsea deserving winners of the Capital One Cup. They've beaten Tottenham by 2-0. There's another one heading to the Stamford Bridge cabinet. And this could well be just the start this season. Chelsea, once again, Capital One Cup winners.
My brother and I love a good challenge. So, we decided to test our football skills on a journey across Africa. We cannot let strong pain stop us from being there for each other. That's why we choose Panadol Extra.
Panadol Extra relieves 5 types of pain: headache, toothache, backache, muscle ache, and menstrual pain.
Panadol Extra. When strong pain is gone, life takes its place.
Hot Sports cranks up the heat this Saturday with fresh sports news and incisive analysis backed by exciting visuals. Hot Sports, your unique source of sport information, education and entertainment, inimitably delivered via hot, scorching argument where no one blinks. Don't miss it.
Well, on the main issue on Hot Sports, we continue our thorough outlook on Nigerian football, and to look at some of these salient issues this week will be the President General of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club, Dr. Rafiu Ladipo. We have seen a situation where some players were put together, of course the Super Eagles, to play some friendlies in Dubai. Do you think these friendlies have any meaningful impact in the rebuilding of a new Super Eagles?
For me, there has been no preparation. It's not to say preparation is slow. There has been no preparation. We went to play 2 matches in Dubai. We had the assistant coach in charge. We need a substantive coach. Let there be a coach. Let us start the process of getting a team that will play the qualifiers and go to the Cup of Nations. We cannot wait again. I said it earlier on. We probably must have learned some lessons in a bitter way. But any delay would not actually confirm that we have learned any lesson. So we should not delay again. The Nigerian Football Federation should start by employing a coach now. Let the Nigerian Football Federation ask the coach to put pen on paper, whosoever the coach will be, and let them give all the conditions and the terms for him to start the work right now. Let him get us the players that will form a team, a formidable team that will give us what we want.
We're talking about Stephen Keshi. The issue relating to his contract has created a lot of speculations. Would you say this issue has dragged for too long?
For me, I do not know why we're still for dragging. If it's going to be Keshi, let it be. If it's not going to be Keshi, let us know and let us get somebody. But like I said earlier on, if we are going to get Keshi to continue with the team, no problem. But then they must assist Keshi by sending him out for refresher courses. 2-3 months of attachment to some of the various clubs, good clubs in Europe, will not be a waste. He will gain something. Not only Keshi, even his assistants should also be assisted to go out there and learn 1 or 2 more tricks.
Will you say you are satisfied with the standard of what you saw at the just concluded Africa Cup of Nations in Equatorial Guinea?
Not really. Not really. Not really. I saw a competition, a tournament that the various teams did not give the best. I saw a competition where not much was attached, particularly in the preliminaries. Teams were playing 0-0, 1-1, and the rest. Not until the quarterfinal that we saw 1 or 2 matches that we could write something about. But look at the final itself. 2 draw. over 1,000 wrong passes and misplacement of balls. When the Ghanaians play and they want to pass to their colleagues, they pass the ball into an Ivorian. When the Ivorian wants to pass, they pass to a Ghanaian. So for me, we saw a lot of many wrongs. And maybe because nobody wanted to lose, they said they were playing a tactical game. What is the tactical game you played without the effort in scoring goals? If you look at that match again, maybe you see one or two efforts in trying to score a goal. A final of the African Cup of Nations, it was less of the expectation. It was not what we wanted. It was not what we were expecting. And everybody around the world will ask themselves, is it the African Cup of Nations final? So for me, well, averagely okay, but not what we expected. The opposition, which is always there, particularly when the Super Eagles of Nigeria is there, was missing.
Well, one of the bad spots for the Nations Cup, in spite of the fact that Equatorial Guinea should be commended for hosting the Africa Cup of Nations impromptu, was the crowd situation in that match involving Equatorial Guinea and Ghana. Did that agitation from the crowd take shine off the excitement and the attraction of African football at the tournament?
It did. It did. And I think CAF must do something. Look, when you are hosting a tournament, it is not very compulsory that you must win. The Equatorial Guinea fans did not do the right thing. The fact that they were beaten by Ghana was not enough for them to attack the Ghanaian fans. When you lose the match, you don't lose your head. The Equatorial Guinea fans lost their heads, which is uncalled for. We should be playing this competition devoid of violence. We should be playing this competition without hooliganism. We should play it in the true spirit of sportsmanship. You lose, you win. It's neither there nor there, neither here nor there. It could be anybody's game. But how do you think that the fans of the Equatorial Guinea team would go to that extent simply because they were beaten? Were they better than the Ghanaian players? So CAF ought to have done something, and they must do something now, particularly assisting the African Football and Other Sports Supporters Union, AFOSU. Members of the supporters clubs of various countries have come together to form this association, and CAF has endorsed it. And there is need for us to have seminars and enlightenment campaigns for all these various fans across Africa, so that they know that it is not good for them to just be violent even if they lose the game. And I want to believe that the punishment meted to the Equatorial Guinea team may serve as a deterrent, but then we must do much more than that. CAF must now take the African Football Supporters Union serious. Call them together. Let us organize seminars and campaigns for these various fans, so as to forestall a future reoccurrence of what we saw in Equatorial Guinea.
You have been an apostle of drastic rebuilding of the Super Eagles, and you believe most of the players who played for the Super Eagles at the World Cup in Brazil last year had no business being in the team. Do you still hold to that opinion?
Yes, I do. I still have that opinion. Thank God we are now seeing young Nigerian players that must take the place of those players that are already tiring out. We are not condemning them. but we are saying that they've done enough. 15, 18 years playing for the Super Eagles should be something telling us that one day these people will stop playing. Even if they want to play, the stamina will no longer be there, the strength will no longer be there. We have young boys now in the under 17, in the under 20 and under 23. We saw them played in Abuja just about 2 weeks ago, and we have seen some budding talents in those teams. The Super Eagles coaches must work hand in hand with the coaches of these teams that played that tournament and be able to get players from these two teams, get them into the Super Eagles. We have 17, 18, 20, 23 years old men in those teams. And then what stops them? They showed a lot of promise. And I believe that some of the players, the Super Eagles players, who would have no business again playing for the Super Eagles, should be replaced by these new players that are coming out.
You mentioned players who have spent 10 years and thereabout. If we go back into players who have spent such amount of years, we should be counting in our fingertip the number of players who have spent so much years in the Super Eagles. They are virtually very few now.
Well, there are some of them that are still left there that have done even 10 years. And not only that, you see, when we were at the World Cup, I did mention that some players were taken to Brazil and they had no business there. I still maintain it, because you don't just take a greenhorn to the World Cup. The World Cup is not an experimental stage. The World Cup is made for tested players. Players that have played and have shown seriousness, commitment, determination and experience. Not players that have not played 1 or 2 games for Nigeria and you just introduce them. That was what I was saying there. And while we have players who have been tested, players who have scored goals, both at the Cup of Nations and even at the qualifiers of the World Cup, we left them. Now, I think, like I said, we have learned some lessons. That mistake should not repeat itself.
So specifically, who are some of these players who you feel we should bid farewell to when it comes to invitation to the Super Eagles?
I am not a coach. The coach has its record. The technical department of the Nigerian Football Federation has their record. And at the same time, we've seen them played. We know those of them who have given their best, but their souls are no longer strong enough to give much more. So we should ask them to go. While we bring in new boys, we have time now. We have time. The 2017 World Cup, Cup of Nations is 2 years ahead. We can start today. By the time we introduce these new boys, they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches. We start seeing promise, some promise in them, and we can bring them into the Super Eagles. You cannot say, okay, let all the 18 players of the Super Eagles go away at the same time. But if you get 2, 3 players you bring today, to change 2, 3 players that are no longer strong enough to do the job, before you know it, you will now start having a team, a formidable team. And I'm happy. Even when Keshi started, he said he was trying to build a new team. And if we are trying to build a new team, let us build that team properly. Let us fortify the Super Eagles with these new boys that are promising. We saw a very good tournament in Abuja. And all of us that witnessed that tournament were happy with all the players that played, even the club side. The club sides that played, there are some promising ones there. The under-23 team and the Flying Eagles, we saw them. They played so very well, and Nigerians are happy with them. So let us get some of these guys, introduce them into the Super Eagles. It's not a game, a situation of an automatic wearing of the shirt. By the time you get these boys, you try them, train them, let them play some friendlies. You'll be able to know if they will fit properly into the team.
Do you see this year as a fruitful year for the Nigerian Football Supporters Club in terms of support for Nigerian football?
I see it fruitful, very fruitful, not only for Nigerian Supporters Club, but indeed for Nigeria. If we do the right things, the future this year will be bright for Nigeria. But if we fail to do those things that are correct, the Supporters Club will only be supporting. They will not get on the field of play and start playing matches for the teams. So what we are saying is that while the Nigerian Football Federation tries to do their best by giving all the necessary support in terms of arranging friendlies for the various teams, in terms of getting them to competitions and giving them all the required necessary things for them to stay happy, get committed, get patriotic, and give their best. The Supporters Club will always be there to support them, and they'll be happy to see them coming out victorious.
Well, it is the final whistle on Hot Sports. It's a weekend that is loaded with so much sports activities. As we have mentioned earlier, today in Abuja, the Dream Team 6 under Coach Samson Siasia will be confronting the team from Gabon. It's also a weekend of the English FA Cup, where Arsenal, Manchester United and Liverpool will be fighting to reach the semi-finals of the competition. And of course, tomorrow the Flying Eagles, who are already in Senegal, will be confronting host Senegal in the Under-20 African Youth Championship. We wish the Flying Eagles the best as they face the tussle of booking a ticket to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup coming up later in the year. That is how far we can go on Hot Sports today. We'll be back again next weekend.